Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Here we're going to work on a Netflix clone, and we're actually going to build this one on several resolutions like the desktop one that you can see how it's going to go, and also on mobile that's going to be a bit smaller and little different, but we're going to start with mobile and go to desktop. So without any time to lose, let's move in. We are going to start with a new file. That's called, I called it Netflix Slider. I saved it like this and I have it here. It's a new empty file, and you can also create your own and type HTML. If you have Emmet, you can just select HTML5, click enter, and Emmet will autocomplete the code for you. I'm gonna save Netflix. If you don't have, just go ahead and write the following code. And if we refresh the page, we can see the title is changed up here. This is the complete example that we're going to do now. And we're going to start with also some CSS. We have to link CSS this way. I have a style CSS file. You can make a new file and save it as style CSS. And we are going to add the basic default CSS that I use on every file of mine, every project of mine. It's box sizing, border box. So this will eliminate all of the padding, margin, and box sizing, make it border box to any element of the page. And you see no difference at the moment, but let's go ahead. Start with the header. Let's give it also a class header, and also inside we can give an image with class header logo. To be honest, this is also Emmet. If you type image.img.the class and then you click return or enter, you will see the autocomplete. So here I'm going to give you the URL, but you can also put any logo you want or get it from Netflix. This is the URL I use. You can find it in the description below if you check my code. I also name Alt Netflix and save it. If I refresh now, I should be able to see the Netflix logo. It's huge. That's why we're going to use CSS. We take header and we add it here and give to our header a padding of 0 top and bottom and 2% for the sides. And we are going to give to our header logo a width of 120 pixels. And let's save it and check it. That's looking good. Then we need some CSS for our body, for the main body. And to be honest, let's do on this project we're going to use variables, CSS variables, and we're going to set them like this. This is how we use the variables. We set them inside the root, and one variable will be color1. I'm gonna set the colors now. The color 1, it's this color. Feel free to copy it, this one. Then color 2. My color 2 at the moment is a gray one, it's this one. And then I use the one that it's color white, because Netflix doesn't use an actual white. This is the white color. And then let's add some other ones that we're going to need later. For example, let's use the font one, which is the font family we're going to use. And we use Helvetica anywhere, or Helvetica or Arial, depends on what your computer has. And here your browser is going to check if you have the fonts, and if you have the first, it's going to keep the first. If you have the second, it's going to keep the second, and etc. So we're going to take font 1 here, and now this is how we set it. And in order to use it, we have to do it here and say font family var. This is how we use the variable. Why do we do this? Because maybe we want to use this part in multiple times in our CSS files, and we can change it once and it's going to change everywhere without having to touch the rest of the code. We're also going to give a background color to our body. Background color. This variable will be the color 1 we have, color 1. And then refresh. So now you see you have the background color. The font, you cannot see it because it's not set yet, but we're going to do it now. Now we're going to set our main. We should only have one main per page, per HTML file. Actually, not per HTML file, but per website. Every website should have one main. And here we should have all of our main content of the page, like the header is header, the main is the rest. Now we want a section. We're going to call it thumb section, and inside here we're going to add a title. Let's say thumb title, and we'll give a name like popular. Now save it, check it. This is the title. Add some CSS to this. The section, we need some space, the sides. For the section I'm going to add actually padding top. It's going to be a 3%. So we have this space in here. This means that anything I'm going to put here is going to have this padding top. And I'm going to make the color white. We can so it means that any element that goes in here, if it doesn't have their color, is going to be white. I'm going to use the variable like color white like before and check it. Nice. And then I'm going to add also the thumb title we used right above and add some styling, like font size could be 16 pixel, line height could be 14 pixel, the font weight something around 500. I will use 500 here. And then let's add some margin, so it has some margin on the side, some margin on bottom. Top, there is no need to put margin. Then this is on the side, left and right. And then on bottom we put 12 pixel. If I refresh now, we see we have popular now, and should be very close, almost equal to this. This is the end result, I remind you. And now we have to add those pictures and the whole slider. We're going to use JavaScript to make the slider, and we're going to use the Swiper.js. I will give you the link in the description, and you go to get started. You get the CSS and add it here, and you also get the JavaScript code and add it here. This is a plugin code. Save it, and then we go a bit more down and we check the Swiper HTML layout, because we're going to use this layout. This is what the plugin uses and works with. We copy the layout, we go back to our code inside the section, and after the title we can paste this code and delete what we don't need. We don't need the scroll bar, we don't need the navigation, and we don't need those dots here, but we need some slides. So I'm going to delete the content of the slides, but create two more. And copy, paste, and paste. So I have 5 slides at the moment. I have the previous and next button. We're gonna show this later, and we have popular now. If I save and go back to our page now, here, and I refresh, you see that there's nothing new. Let's add inside this a link blank. So no, this is actually wrong, because this is going to open a link in a new page. We don't want this at the moment. We want a simple link with just a hash or anything here. You can even put hashtag, and inside we need an image. And I'm going to give you the URL here because I copied these photos and I have the URLs my code. So this is probably the URL we need. Let me refresh and see. Yes, exactly. We have Queen's Gambit here, and we're going to put also the alt, which is the Queen's Gambit. I'm going to give to our class, link a class. Let's call it thumb tile, because this is the tile. Thumb tile. Actually, no, I'm gonna leave it thumb tile, and then I'm gonna go to image and give this image a thumb tile image class. And this is our container that contains the wrapper inside the upper are the slides, and then we have previous and next button. So on our container, I'm gonna give also the thumb tiles class, so we can also control and style all of them. Let's continue and actually start with the thumb tiles CSS. We are going to add some padding on the sides because we want this padding on the side. If I refresh the page, you see here and here there is some spacing, so we're going to do this now. Padding of 0 top and bottom, and left and right 4%. And first I see no change. I'm not really sure if this is what we want to achieve. Thumb tiles, yeah, looks like there's something wrong here. Thumb tiles, have it here, I save it, and I refresh the page. Yes, Swipe containers overrides our class, if you see here, so I will need to use both of them. Copy the other class, go to your styles, and do it right here. Refresh the page, and you should be able to see this page we want it. So one step before we continue is to go inside here and copy all of the slides. Like copy this slide a lot of times, copy and paste it on the other slides. Actually, we don't need them. We have to copy this one 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Refresh the page, and now you'll be able to see that you have more slides. You cannot actually see them now because we need the JavaScript to enable the plugin. I'm going to take a second here and change the photos. I will change the URLs and the names, but then you can do it on your own and come back right after. Okay, so I copied different images and different alt titles to all of the links we have. So now there should be, if I save and refresh, should be different. And let's see how we can enable the plugin now, so we can be able to scroll around and see all of the photos we have. So one thing we're going to do is go after our main and add a script. You can also add this to a separate file, but we're going to add it here for now. And then go back to the documentation of the plugin, go down and see here, initialize Swiper. I'm going to copy all of this, paste it here, save to style it, and then let's see what we don't need. We don't need the scroll bar, we need the navigation, we don't need the pagination at the moment, and those settings we're going to set it now. So we don't need directional, but we need the loop. If I go back here now and I refresh and try to click, you can see that it's actually working, and you can go one by one, or you can actually scroll it this way. I'm going to add some more settings, like the space between the slides. I want this to be space between, I want this to be 5, and if I refresh, small difference. I'm going to also change the slides per view, and I want them to be 2. So now we're going to see 2 slides per view. The loop will stay here. We can also add a free mode, which means I can move them around freely. If I refresh now, you can see that I can move them around a bit more easily and just leave them in one place. Because we have the loop mode and we want the images to loop again and again and never stop, I'm going to add also a setting that's called loop additional slides. I'm going to give it a 5 just in case. Nothing going to change here. And also we can change a bit like the speed. Speed of the slide. I have to give a comma here. Refresh and say check it. The speed looking good. And now we need to just style it with CSS. That's why it's looking a bit weird, because we need to style it with CSS. So I'm going to take the thumb tile and go back to my CSS file, thumb tile, to set some CSS for this. So the first thing we're going to set here, it's a width of 20%. And we're going to add, let's refresh it. Maybe nothing changed, probably nothing changed, but we're going to add also the thumbnail image CSS, and we'll say that the image should have 100% width. And now we're going to use a border radius of 4 pixel. I don't want to use 4 pixel as pixel here because I'm going to use it again and again. So I want to create up here a variable for this and say, let's call it tile border radius and give 4 pixel. Copy this, go down here and set and say I want this variable here. Refresh the page, and now you see that you actually have thumbnails exactly as we want them. Now, one thing that is not like Netflix at the moment is actually the navigation arrows on the sides. If you see here, this is the final result. Navigation arrows are different. Let's go and quickly fix this part. So the navigation arrows, if you see right here, are those two. And I'm going to actually take this class, go back here and say that this is inside the thumbnails, and then I'm gonna paste the class name, copy this, comma, paste it again, and then do next. So this means I will do for both of them, and then I'm going to give them a height of 100%. I'm going to give them a width of 4%, and if I save actually and refresh, now you can see the result is this one. It's not exactly what I want. That's why I'm going to give them top 0, bottom 0, and some margin 0. And I refresh. Now it's going to go in the middle, and this is exactly what I wanted. I also want to give some dark background color behind, exactly as we have right here. Maybe you're not able to see it. So let's give it a background color. I'm going to use RGBA, which means RGB, which is the color, and A, which is the alpha for transparency, 20, 20, 20, and 0.5. If you refresh now, you should be able to see there's a bit of transparency on the sides. Another problem I have now is that the width is a bit bigger from what I want, and also they don't really touch the sides of the browser. I want this to be able to touch the end of the browser, the edges. In order to do this, I'm going to style each one of them with, I'm going to add it here, and say for this one the left should go on the left, and for the other one the right should go on the right. Left 0 and right 0. If I refresh, we should see the difference. In order to be able to see exactly what is the background, I'm going to also give a background color of red just for the demo, and you see what it is at the moment. I don't want actually this to cover the space I have between the photos, and also I want this to have some border radius, so only on the sides next to the photo. So I'm gonna give a border top and right radius. I'm gonna use the variable we have, save it, and see the result. So actually you can see we have some border radius now up here, and I want the same for down here. So I copy this, and I can do just bottom right, save it, and you can see it's also here. Now we also have it on this side, and it's not what we want. That's why we're going to copy this and paste it only on previous button. It's here, and then copy the first one again, go here and say top left for the next button, and bottom left. Save, check. And I actually have border radius on all of the corners. And let's make the width a bit smaller. So this is 4%. Also 4% is the space we have on each side, but also If you remember, we had a 4% padding to our tiles, which is exactly like here. And now I also want to remove the spacing there is between. We can also use for width, create a new one, the calc function. Actually, I don't know if it's called a function, but we can actually give it 4% -5. If it doesn't work this one, let's give -5 pixel and do it again. So now you can see that it's actually going really on the side. I can remove the red one. And it's taking this very nice subtle background on the movies that are not in our screen. Let's actually go ahead and play a bit with the arrows, because the arrows are too big and they should be white, not blue. So next thing we're going to do is copy this part again, this one, for the buttons, and the arrows are at the moment on after, so I'm gonna put after and after for both, and give the after a color of white. Give it a font size of maybe 4 viewpoint width, which is this width. Font weight, we can make them bold, and then we can give also transition, not transform, transition of transform, not transition now, transform 0.1 is out. If I save it, you will see that the arrows now are white actually, and this is working well for us. Let me see if yes, they're white. And then if I close this and we go to desktop version, you see that they're way bigger because of the viewport width. The thing is that on a bigger version we want actually the images to show 5 and not 2 like now, because it's the same on Netflix desktop. We go back then to our JavaScript down here, and we can use a parameter that's called breakpoints. Breakpoints. And in here I create an object and I say on 640, which is the resolution I want, like this one, which means, let's say it up here, when the window width is more or equal to 640 pixel, okay, this is what's going to happen. I want this to have slides per view 5. I want this to have also slides per group 5. This means, oops, that it's going to, when I click next, it's going to move 5 slides per time. This is what Netflix does at the moment. And I want to remove the free mode and make it false. Let's refresh and check it. Yeah, it's actually 5, and when I click, it's 5 again, and I click, it's 5 again. We have always the same images because we have a loop 2. If I had more, it's going to be new images every time. Not a lot of things left to do now, so we are going to go ahead and fix the arrows, because when I'm on desktop, like here, the arrows should not be visible. So when I go up, then they should be visible, and of course smaller. So now that the arrows are visible, let's go to our style and add a media query to work on the desktop size, screen, and mean width 640 pixels, exactly as the one on the breakpoint we had in JavaScript. And we can say that when it's 640, I want those two, or actually not those two, but the afters, the arrows, to be, let's add some CSS, to be display none, so they don't show. And also I want them to have a font size of 2.4, because now they're too big. And also I'd like to add some over effect when I have my mouse on top, that the over effect is going to be on the prev and next, let's say over, So over, after, again, over, after, exactly. And I want to change the scale and make scale a bit bigger, so transform scale 1.25 and save it. And also what I actually need here is when I go my mouse on top of subtiles, the whole thing, not subtiles, I want this one to be not this one, actually this one to be display block. So when I have my mouse over, the after should be display block. If I save and I refresh the page, you see when I go my mouse over, the arrow is here, not the next one, only the previous, because I didn't add it here. Let's add also next, save, not actually next, this is the after, this is the next, my bad, save. And then when I go my mouse on top, you can see the arrows, and also when I go closer to them, they are getting bigger. If I go to bigger resolution, it's going to be way closer to what Netflix has and what we are used to. Go next, previews, next. And actually this is the end of the tutorial. Feel free to comment below if it actually worked also for us the same way. If you find it helpful, nice, or you actually have some suggestion, always write a comment below, and please like and subscribe for more tutorials. Thank you and see you in the next one.